Welcome to the Making Space For podcast, where we embark on a journey to simplify, organize, and prioritize our lives. I'm your host, Paige Rabin, and on each episode, we'll explore the art of intentional living, helping you make room for what truly matters. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, it's easy to find ourselves surrounded by things that don't contribute to our happiness or well-being. Making Space For is your guide to decluttering not just your physical space, but also your mind and soul. We'll dive into practical tips on downsizing, right-sizing, and the transformative power of letting go. Whether you're starting at a cluttered closet, pondering legacy planning, or seeking the elusive balance between work and self-care, this podcast is your sanctuary for inspiration and actionable insights. Join us as we feature experts, share personal stories, and explore the profound impact of intentional living. Together, we'll navigate this journey toward a simpler, more fulfilling life, one where you have more of what matters and less of what doesn't. Before we delve into today's episode, a quick shout out to our flagship company, A Move Handled with Care. As Denver Metro's premier senior and specialty move management experts since 2007, we've mastered the art of downsizing, right-sizing, organizing, and every step in between. From packing and moving to unpacking and staging, our experienced staff represents all stages of life, offering a compassionate touch to what matters most to you. So if you're looking to make a seamless transition while keeping what truly matters in focus, trust A Move Handled with Care. Visit us at amovehandledwithcare.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn to discover the difference. Let's continue making space for the life you deserve. Today's episode is one I've been especially excited about because we're talking about something that often gets overlooked in aging conversations: joy, adventure, connection, and the simple human need to feel part of the world around us. Joining me today is Barb Lotze, co-founder and executive director of Cycling Without Age Littleton, a nonprofit creating meaningful experiences for older adults and individuals with mobility challenges through adaptive trishaw rides throughout the community. Barb also serves as a co-founder, patient navigator, and volunteer coordinator with All Seasons Health, where she helps older adults and families navigate the aging journey with compassion and support. Today, we're talking about loneliness, purpose, community, intergenerational connection, and why experiences and adventures should never stop simply because we age. This is Making Space For Joy, Connection, and Adventure at any age. Well, let's jump in and kind of talk about Cycling Without Age. We met a couple years ago, probably at this point, and just really intrigued by this whole idea. And so I guess tell me a little bit about like your origin story, how you got started in this whole endeavor, like what spawned this idea?
So Cycling Without Age actually is an international program. So it started in Copenhagen. They just celebrated their 10th anniversary. And so there was no chapters in Colorado until 2018. My friend started the first chapter in Lakewood, and we raced together. And anyways, he started and he's like, I need volunteers. So I volunteered for a year for him. And I was like, this is crazy. The paradigm is that a facility, an AL and IL own the vehicles, and they're the only people that get to go is their residents. So as I was riding people around and I'm in the healthcare field, I'm like, this is crazy. We need to be expanding this. How about those kids that never get to bike? How about older adults that don't get out of their home? I mean, there's isolation everywhere. So I just set out to say, you know what, I'm going to raise money for a trishaw. At that time, they were $10,000. Fast forward today, they're $20,000.
Wow.
We get them from Copenhagen, and you can't buy them in the States because so what is a trishaw, right? It's a bike with a passenger seat in the front. And the whole concept is you are front and center. When you go to the ball game downtown, you see rickshaws, which the passengers in the back. That is not a good conversational piece. You see someone's butt. That's not really helpful. When you're talking about breaking isolation and letting people know they're important and they get to see the outdoors. So paradigm is different. Our paradigm is different. There is no chapter in the world that has a chapter like CWA Littleton. So we started in 2019, and a couple other guys and I raised the money, and we just said, we're going to do this and we're going to do it different. So we are going to include everybody, anybody who wants a ride, wants wind in their hair, can't ride a bike, or want to bring their parents out or whatever. We're going to include everybody and give everybody wind in their hair, outdoors, joy, they're front and center, and the whole concept is you are seen, you're heard, and your life matters. So for
Yeah.
me, that's what it is, that no matter who you are, we want to give you a ride, and it's never at a cost. Donations are always accepted, but we don't want finances to ever stop anyone from having the opportunity to get wind in their hair and to be outdoors.
Right. So, I mean, you're as in healthcare profession, I think I see it in a different avenue with our business too, but talk about what you're seeing in like older adults specifically, I guess if that's kind of where we're going to start the conversation is older adults. What are you seeing as far as loneliness? Because I think people have like a misnomer that it has to be, like never leave your home or things like that. But I think I would venture to say you're very similar to us, that you see it in lots of different facets and it presents itself in
Oh,
lots of different
absolutely.
ways.
Absolutely. I think, and I think we still have that stigma in our we don't want to talk about mental health. We don't want to and I also represent comfort keepers who we do private duty, private care. And people will pay to have laundry done and meal prep. But when it comes to companionship, they're like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to pay for that. Like, that's a friend. And it's like, it is so important. Our socialization is as important as our physical getting in the shower and whatnot. And I think in 2020, I think our society talked more about it. Like we saw people literally dying in facilities, dying because they couldn't see their family. They
Yeah.
couldn't, they weren't around other human beings. And then now we fast forward to 2026. All of us that can be are back in our life. And there's still people literally dying of loneliness. And so whether you're in your residential house, you're in a facility, that's what I say. You can live in a facility and you can be so self-isolating. You can
Yeah.
not come down to the meals, or you can, I mean, because of a lot of reasons. Maybe you don't feel good, you don't look good, you don't, whatever. People are isolated everywhere. I don't care if it's an apartment, a house, an AL, an IL. I think it's really an issue in our society. We see it with older adults, yes, and with people. I always think of the parents as I see this happen with kids with challenges and disabilities,
Yeah.
and they're the primary caregiver, and so they are so consumed, and it takes every ounce of their time and energy. And do they ever get invited to go places?
Right.
Do they? And so I that's really opened up that world to me too, that when you start talking to parents of children with disabilities and now adults, they say the resources dry up after 18. So the
Hmm.
first mom that called me in like 2020 was elated when I said, well, of course. She goes, he's 18. So will you take? I'm like, well, yeah, he can come. So there's isolation in every area, space, and all. And I think for older adults, as mobility or cognition becomes an issue, we see that self isolation, and it's not purposeful. It just starts happening, and so
It
you
does.
start forgetting, or you start having to use a cane or a walker, and so these barriers go up, and so there's a lot less happening outside that home, whatever home is to that person.
Yeah. And I love that this kind of combats that. So talk about the process. Like how do people, contact you? How do they ride? What does it look like kind of involved?
We have a website and or a phone number, and so you call. We have a master scheduler, I call her, and so people go, hey, I want to ride. Okay, what date, what time are you looking for? Oh, do you want more than one trishaw? And two can fit in the front seat, but sometimes people say my family's coming in town. You
Mm,
get up to six trishaws. On our big events, we do all 10 trishaws.
wow.
So we have been so blessed that with total volunteer, total donation, we have raised enough for a van that can take two trishaws. So we go to events like the Alzheimer's, the Parkinson's, those different events. You think of that isolation, like maybe I have Parkinson's and my family, I get 25 people, they're gonna rally for me and I can't do it because maybe I
Hmm.
can't walk anymore. Trishaw can go alongside with your delegation, and you get empowered. You are empowered. You get to be a part of the experience and process. And so really it's a matter of a phone call, an email, and we get you set up and signed up. And so there's a lot of flexibility within that.
And your volunteers, how do people, I was just sharing with you about a organization that I obviously feel passionate about because of my background. Where are you finding your volunteers? What's kind of their background? What's their story?
Well, we're so blessed because we have the Platte River Trail. And so our main hub is out of River Point Senior Independent Living.
Yeah.
And I really don't have to recruit pilots. They come to me. I'm getting calls all the time. I mean, we started with three of us in 2019 and we have 158 volunteers now.
Wow.
And that is not with recruiting. I'm in senior facilities all the time. So I recruit passengers a lot and places and facilities and communities. But I'm telling you, the volunteers, and then our volunteers are so happy and love what they do that they tell their friends. And it's just total word of mouth and seeing. And I get so many phone calls going, I saw you on the Platte. I stopped your bike, the pilot, because I wanted to get a brochure because everybody's smiling. And I want to be a part of an organization that gets people outside and everybody's smiling. But it's not as easy as like, I want to sign up. We have people that call and go, okay, I want to get a trishaw for my mom. When can I get it? And it's like, no, 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 no.
No.
These are
Yeah.
very expensive equipment. And so it goes as such. If you're interested in being any part of our organization, the first call is me. I vet you as a volunteer. We do a background check. If you want to be a pilot, you need to bike at least 50 miles a week. The bike has to be, the gearing, all that has to be second nature,
Hmm.
because it's all about that relationship we're
Yeah.
building with the passengers.
Yeah.
And so, so once you're vetted, your background check comes back. Everybody donates $100. They get our bright shirts that are down the Platte so that people see us, and the background check. And then there's a donation so that everybody in the organization is donating something, besides time. So time, talent, and finance. And then there's a training session. So once you are vetted, then you get the policies and procedures manual, which I kid you not is 75 pages. So before you come to the first training session, you have an idea of this is how the bike works. This is the main hub. This is how we check in, check out. This is how we get a bike, and blah, blah, blah. And then you go through. I have 7 trainers and 7 certifiers. So it's a 3-hour time that you're out on the trishaw, maneuvering it and learning all about. It's electric assist, so there's something to that, and the gearing and the weight distribution. There's a lot to it. And then once you pass that, you go on to be certified. It's another 3-hour training. And then once you're certified, you do a family and friends ride. And then you get out, and I ask for a commitment if you're retired 4 times a month, and if you're not, twice a month. So it's about a 3-hour experience because usually the rides are about an hour, hour and a half. So by the time you get the trishaw, get it out and get moving.
So how many
So
rides are you
it's
doing a day? That's incredible, like the background that you do. And I love how well you're, I mean, it's probably that's the most daunting part is like you said, the policy and procedure and the vetting of your volunteers and all those type of things. And I mean, just set up for success. I love that part. But like how many rides a day are you like when it's
the
obviously weather contingent, but how many can you do in a day?
the hardest job is the scheduler. And so we're looking at building that infrastructure because we went from 12 rides in 2020 to about 300, 1200, 1600, 2400, 3824, and 3625. So
Wow.
it's just grown. And so her job, I mean, she is a full-time, literally volunteer. She is working 7 days a week. So we're looking at how can we get support for her, because she schedules the pilots, she schedules the rides. So in a
Yeah.
day, we can easily have the trishaws going out 2 to 3 times a day and multiple trishaws.
Hmm.
So, we can get 50 rides in a day, or we can get, I mean, and this week we got them all canceled. But, like
Yeah.
last night, even in the cold weather, it was the coolest thing. 3 generations. We had grandma, well, okay, so Bev 93, her husband Ed 94, and their daughter 70. And so we had 4 generations. We had the great, okay, so grandchildren, children, all of the Okay, so Bev and Ed live in Colorado. All the children live in Colorado. The grandchildren came in from Montana, and the great grandchildren. It was so
Oh,
cool. We had 5 trishaws, and from 1 years old, not even 8 months, to 94 years old. It
wow.
was the coolest. And Ev and Bev are really movers and shakers. They're riding all the time, and they are advocating and getting passengers, and that's what they do. Like when friends come into town, when family, we had all their generations over at the Christmas holiday lights this year. I mean, it's really a big deal for some folks. When once they start doing it, it's like, oh my gosh, we can bring generations together. We can have a mutual experience that's going to be memorable.
Yeah. Well, and I think people underestimate that because you're like you said, it's the isolation and it's also the distance, it's the physicality of it, it's all the different things. And so when you add those little things, it also opens their mind, I'm sure, to other things that they might explore, other things that might be possible.
Mhm.
By just having that one, like you said, wind in your hair experience, it can make you feel like there's more to it. Or I'm sure make connections. Your volunteers make
Absolutely.
connection with them. They remember them. They listen to their stories. They become an ally, which I think is the other piece of it as well. That is just super, super important.
Yeah, and it's totally accessible. So when people see the trishaw, they're thinking in their head, "Oh, I have to step up," but the middle plate comes out, so it's a pivot transfer. So it's like
Mm,
we've had Hoyer lifts drop people in. I mean, it's really accessible to most everybody. So that's lovely too. And yeah, once you have a ride, you're advocating and have people going, "Oh, I don't want to hog it," and it's like, no, we have a lot of pilots, we have a lot of you can ride weekly. So we had a study done. We had been awarded a grant money for a research project, which took almost a year. We had pilot groups, or focus groups. So we interviewed the volunteers, and you interview the passengers, people that go frequently and people that don't. Anyways, we now have our social return on investment uh, paperwork. So I just need agencies to go into that I can pitch and say, gosh, because we need to start having at least some salaried staff because we can't keep growing
right.
like this without.
Hmm.
But I don't have any annual income. Everything is donations, and we have a few that are really generous donors. Comfort Keepers, they are amazing. They always do the match, and last year gave 50 grand, and we did the Colorado Gives, and we got the one-to-one match. We exceeded that, and so that and Family Freedman Foundation. We have a couple big ones that are annual, but we really need to get that structure going to for the annual donors to make it
Yeah.
happen. But with the SROI study, it's so awesome. We can tell you how much money we save Medicare, taxpayer dollars.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's really fascinating. And if for what every dollar you donate, we now have the scientific background, the statistics, we return 5 times your dollar. So 1 to 5. And so at the end, when the research statisticians came to be and we had the meeting, I said, "Is 1 to 5 good?" And she said, "I've been doing this for years for nonprofit. And usually it's a 1 to 2 ratio." She said, "1 to 5 is like just outstanding."
that
So
is
we
amazing.
know, when you donate, you're really stretching your dollar, and it's,
Hmm.
it's going far, and it's really enhancing people's quality of life. And to steal a phrase from Comfort Keepers, that we are elevating the human spirit. And that's
Yeah.
what our whole
Well, I
goal
like that
is.
you said it's the social ROI. Like, yes, there's ROIs in lots of different ways, but the social ROI is, something not everyone considers.
Right.
But yeah, that piece of it is so huge.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's accessible. I love that you've opened it up now to, adults with disabilities or even families that have children with disabilities, and just like allowing anyone who might need access to that. I love that part. Tell me about the intergenerational piece of it. Do you have young pilots, older pilots, all of the above? Do you have and I guess maybe secondarily, like, do you have a vetting process of how you put people together? Like, you're maybe not. Maybe it's just luck of the draw.
Yes. So to answer your question, our age is from 23 to, we just got a couple college students, 23 to, our oldest is probably 85. Um, 85% of my volunteers are retired and over 65. So the deal is we've had more, it's very small segment of the 20 to 50-year-olds, because what we found is the younger people that have tried, they're raising a family, their kids are in
Yeah,
sports, and they're like even 2 rides a month, and they try it for a year or two, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have another waking moment," and I totally get that. So it makes sense that we have mostly a retired population. But we have some young retirees like 50, 60, and I'm like, wow, you get to retire. And, my board used to challenge me and say, why do you keep vetting? Like, we have a lot of pilots. Well, because 85% of you retired and 95% of you go on vacation often because you can,
Yeah.
because you're retired. So we need
Right.
high volume. And there's no matching or set up that way.
Okay.
Some folks really like their background. They might be OTs or different folks, and they like to be with folks with disabilities, different things. But I find it's funny, our frequent riders, some have this thing like, I'm going to see how many different pilots I can get. And other ones are like, I want him and I want her. And they recall and request, okay, this is who I want to pilot me this day. So,
Yeah, well, I can imagine like they have those connections and
right.
you get to know them. Like I said, it becomes like this. And I just love when young people get involved in these type of things. That's why I was curious. But you're right, like the young people do, like
Mhm.
their schedules are the most challenging. But yeah, young people, because I just feel like that intergenerational on both ends are learning so much from each other. And,
Oh,
I love that
absolutely.
piece of it for sure.
Yeah. And the young ones, like the preteens, that grandparents and great grandparents, right? It's hilarious. So they'll be starting the ride out and they'll be like, "Oh God, what does Grandma have me doing?" And they're doing and I'm like 10 minutes later, like, wow, there's a tree, there's a bird. Like they think it's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Because at first they're like, what are we doing? Like I'm
Hmm.
too cool for this. Or they come and they're very excited about it. So that's really cool. But one of the things on the opposite end of the young people is so our hub is River Point Independent, and they're awesome. We have 7 trishaws here in our van. We have a couple trishaws over at Libby Bortz, and then one at Thrive Care, and then one at Manor on Marston, which is more in South Jeffco. So we have them mostly off the Platte. Um, but that said, what's so interesting that's come organically is the riders, some of our riders that are so passionate, love what they get, feel so compelled to give back because they
Mm.
don't want to just take. And I said, you give back by sharing your wisdom. I can't tell you the rides we've been down. We're giving the whole explanation of this is the floodplain, and the structure in one part of the path. It's like that's how high the water was in 1965 in flood. Oh yeah, I was city manager during that. Let me tell you about the time. And people that have experienced it. So our 80, 90-year olds are writing and they're educating us. They're telling us like
Yeah.
what it was like. And in the midst of all that, what has come out of this, I have now, this is crazy. I did not have this vision. So every Wednesday from May to September, we're going to Dinosaur Ridge. We take the
Oh,
van.
wow.
It took a year and a half to get the roads, to get all the connection. I have volunteers running that. Well, how did that come? Well, one of the pilots is a geologist, retired geologist. One of the passengers that lives at River Point happened to be a geologist. They talk shop. They came back from the ride and they called and said, Barb, we got this idea. I'm like, champion the project, go for it. I'll support it. You just tell me what you need. And they just took off with the project. Then I have another guy that lives in Roxborough, another pilot, and he's like, we need to do Waterton Canyon. Or actually, one of the passengers, she said, would you ever go to Waterton Canyon? And so then he lives there, boom, 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 Waterton. We're going every Thursday now, Waterton Canyon for the season. Then one of the writers, we find out she's an artist. She teaches watercolors now at the lily pads. We take the trishaws down to Hudson Gardens. She does watercolor painting through the summer now, every other Monday. And then there's the old city manager that lives here. He put together his whole portfolio. He does the history rides every other Monday. Then on Tuesday, we partner with the Audubon. Every other Tuesday, we have bird safari rides. And there's a resident here that has dementia. He can still remember 4,000 birds Bob has identified. He does birding with people.
That's
So
amazing.
they're so excited that they're part of it. And now they are empowered to share their gifts and talents. And they are now volunteers. I have some that don't want to do that kind of stuff, but I always bring homemade goodies. Our birthdays, we have homemade goodies for Maryland. She must have bagged 10,000 bags of sweet pecans by now. They help decorate the trishaws for the Western Welcome Week Parade for Memorial Day service on Monday. And so just like 80, 90-year olds volunteering to give back to
Yeah.
this that's bringing such energy and joy to them.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing how you
So,
start something and it always grows and changes and people get into it and have, like you said, expertise. Yeah, the history that I've learned about Denver, When I walk into someone's home that they've been in for 30, 40, 50 years, I mean, when they talk about the landscape of how Denver used to look and the schools and where, and it's amazing like how much they are teaching you
Yeah.
about the area, like what
Mhm.
existed and didn't exist and that sort of thing. So I love that opportunity for them. I mean, you've shared so many different stories, but do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite story or maybe one early on that really just like championed why you were doing what you're doing?
Well, one of every ride champions why I do this. I mean, it's just amazing. But we do birthday celebrations. Last year, I think we did 84. So we have sponsors that we get bags from Comfort Keepers and Natural Grocers, and then we get gift cards and from local businesses and things just to celebrate our older adults or our folks with challenges. And so. One of my favorite stories we come. So Nixon's Cafe is right on the Riverside next to Hudson Gardens,
Hmm.
and they're one of our partners. They lend me space so we can put all of our decorations and our food, all my homemade goodies. We freeze there, and so I have a celebration committee. So okay, like last night we had 3 birthdays we were celebrating. 5 trishaws were coming in, so I was in charge of that one. So you get there, you decorate, you get the party hats out, you get the blowhorns, get all the homemade goodies, have everything ready. The trishaws come rolling in. If it wasn't raining, people would be singing. But whoever's there having coffee, we get there early and we say, hey, we're celebrating Ethel. She's 90 years old today. So, hey, rock it with us. Everybody stands up. The trishaws come in. The birthday person's shocked, singing. We had this dementia gal who had not said probably 10 words. She was that advanced in her cognition deficit. And so they come rolling in. Her kids were in from out of town. They had secured like 5 trishaws. And so we're rolling in. It was a Saturday. The band was down there. It was busy. There were probably 50 people. This whole group of people just start singing for her. And as they ride in the trishaw, she just has tears coming down her eyes. This is someone in later stages of dementia. And she pointed to the band and she said to her son, you got them for me, and all my friends are here. And it was like,
Oh, amazing.
you know what? She remembered that probably for 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes she felt loved. She felt cared
Yeah.
for. She felt like her life mattered. And it's like I can tell you, I just in like 3 weeks ago celebrated a 70th anniversary, wedding anniversary, 73 and 75. Like what an honor and a privilege, And so then we get fake rings, the ring pops, and we just have a great time. Just again celebrating we're better together. Let's just
Hmm.
bring the community together. Let's like there's so much craziness going on in our world that you get so negative and you just go, but look at for this moment, look at we just bring strangers together and together we're better. And we just have a great time celebrating each other
Yeah.
and each other's joys and milestones. And none of us need any more. You know this better than anyone from moving people. We don't need any more stuff.
Yeah.
None of us need more
Experiences.
stuff. So
Yeah.
let's experience the moments we have together because they are precious and they're short and life is fleeting. And so let's pack in our life with experiences and togetherness and intentional moments. And so that's what we have the privilege of doing with
You
Cycling Without Age.
you kind of spoke to it, but what's the goal? What's the plan for this chapter in Littleton? I mean, you can't do this forever. So what's it sounds like you want to get like some full-time people and really kind of like solidify it. Is that kind of what you envision, or is there something different?
Yeah, we had a board retreat and an advisory because it's like, what is our direction? Where are we going? Because it has gone so fast and
So
furious.
fast.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so the goal is that I have 2 healthcare jobs with Comfort Keepers in all seasons. So I have a lot of time management things going on. But my goal is that I could hire an ops director. We get annual incomes, hire an ops director, and they do all the nitty gritty day to day stuff. What I like to do is I want them to tee me up. I want them to get me in the agencies that do nonprofit donating and
Hmm.
want to make a difference in the community through giving to nonprofits. So they team me up, and then I want to go in and say, "Let me tell you about how we're impacting positively lives. Let me tell you our SROI numbers." And so I just don't have time or the bandwidth to get all that together. Team me up. I'll go ask. I want. It's easy for me to ask because I can ask for anybody else. I'm passionate about. I know what a difference we're privileged to make in our community.
Yeah. You're never going to retire, are
So
you?
No,
No.
it's
And even when you
overrated.
retire, you'll have a million things to keep you busy that, you can
Right,
now do
right.
that more. That's
But see, what
funny.
I love about, so I work in the non-medical with Comfort Keepers. I help start the practice All Seasons Health. We do primary palliative hospice, and I have Cycling Without Age Littleton. And both practices that I'm the only reason I'm with them is because I trust the owners. I trust our philosophy that every person matters and every person has something to offer and they need to be heard and the whole being is important. And so we can in the all three of those hats that I get to wear, it's about we are looking at the medical, social,
Yes.
physical, emotional, that every part of us is
Hmm.
important. And so when I run into someone, maybe they need medical and they can't afford the non-medical, or they are non-medical and they socialization is a thing. We bring our van over. If you're in hospice and you can't get much out of the house, I've done that a number of times. We bring it right up to the house. I have had people crying, going, my mom has not been out of the house for 8 months, and I just took them around the neighborhood, couple spins. That's all she needed. I had a caregiver say she hasn't been that happy or walked without that limp until. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
wild, this stuff.
Well, it's more than the
So
thing. And, I just had a call today from a client, going through some really tough challenges and, sold their home, don't know where necessarily where they're going, but they, have to get out of the home with stairs and all the things. And people, I think, forget that it's not just moving. It's not just like you said, there's so
right.
many different aspects of it that if you have people with that right philosophy that are coming in to stand alongside you and support you, it makes the experience that much better and it helps not, moves can put people, they're like one of the top things that can break people, new jobs, moving, all that kind of stuff. And I
Yeah.
think people forget about all of those different things. And it's the emotional component, the social component, the feeling like somebody wants to go through the things with you. Maybe if your adult children aren't local or, things like that.
Hmm.
Just somebody to go through it with you, the experience with you. And I think, yeah, to your point, it's not just your medical care, it's not just your laundry and your things, it's all of it and, enjoying your life as well. Well, the
Yeah.
last
You.
question I want to ask you. So the name of our podcast is the Making Space For. So we talk about making space for other things in your life. And what do, and I specifically, because we're talking about cycling without age, what does cycling without age create space for in people's lives?
Purpose on either end, belonging, I'd say, the human connection, and outdoors. Those would be the words that come to my mind right away. That it is that human connection, and again, I can't say it enough. We are better together, and it's really about every person is important, seen, heard, and their life does matter, and we can impact each other. Right now, today, I can pedal a bike, but I found out when I got hit by a car and the other accident, that can go away in an instant. So right
Mm,
now, I can help pedal you, but tomorrow I might not be able to. So it
right.
might be I'm sharing a different part of me and myself. But
Yeah.
so again, we each take whatever we have that day and we give it to each other. And so it really brings the sense of belonging and purpose.
I love it. Well, thanks so much. We're definitely going to post all of this. So hopefully there's maybe somebody who would like to get involved in any way, either as being a writer or as being a pilot or what that might look like. So I appreciate everything that you do, both in your real job and all the other ancillary things that you do. I think you're amazing and such a community connector. And we just appreciate what you do.
Well, and thanks for what you do because people think moving, like you said, there's so many aspects to that and the emotional part of
Yeah.
that you do that with care and intention. I think that's huge. So
Yeah.
thanks for what you do
Yeah. Thank
and
you very
how you do
much.
it. It's not just what you do, it's really how you do what you do that is so imperative. And
Well,
I've
I'm gonna
heard
have to
just
come
such.
out for sure. We're gonna find some folks. Maybe it's the choir. Maybe we do something like that. That'd be amazing because
Mhm.
I definitely think all of that is just yeah, to experience it. I would love to be a part of it in some way. So again, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And hopefully there's some
Thank
very
you.
amazing donor that listens to this and just,
That would be great. Or anyone too that if someone's listening that's part of, I talk to church groups, garden groups, PEO groups, just to get the word out. And donations, great, but if it gets people out too, and just knowing, I've talked to two PEO groups in the last couple of weeks, and they're like, we have never heard of this. We are going to take our
Yeah.
group. And so, yes, anyone that's part of connected to any different groups, just let them know, because we can get multiple trishaws and have a great time.
Yeah. Love that.
So,
Okay. Well, thank you so
all right.
much, Barb.
Thank you.
See you again
Appreciate
soon.
you. Okay. Bye-bye.
That wraps up another inspiring episode of the Making Space for podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guest and to you, our cherished listeners. Your journey to intentional living begins with each small step, and we're honored to be a part of it. Before we part ways, a friendly reminder, if you're embarking on a move or seeking expert guidance in downsizing, remember a move handled with care here in Denver. With over 15 years of experience in senior and specialty move management, we're here to transform your transition into a seamless, stress-free experience. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an episode, and visit us on social media or at amovehandledwithcare.com for more inspiration and resources. Until next time, stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep making space for what matters most.